This is Scott from My Life's Reward. We got St. Helen Motorsport area trails coming your way, about 17 miles worth, and all the hot spots. Stay tuned. We just unloaded our quads at the St. Helen ORV, the trailhead there. It's right at the end of the airport. There's a couple of runways. One runs north and south, and the other one runs on an angle, and we're at the end of the south part of the runway, and that then is across the road. So, and here we're working our way just past Kyle there, who was my son, and we're just passing through. There's a campground across the road there. So that might be something you'd be interested in staying at. There's a few residences here. We're just being respectful, going slow. And here's the start of the trail here. So our first destination is going to be the Rock. And here at the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we have, visually we can see all the vehicles, but we have the hands going up that are indicating how many vehicles are behind the one that's passing you by. You saw 4 there. Our next vehicle here puts up their hand for 3. And then we have 2, 1, and then the next one will just put up a fist. That'll represent 0, and a thumbs up as a bonus. So that was nice. And we're doing it in return in kind. We're saying the same thing if we have people behind us, and it's just a courtesy. Sometimes you can't see these folks that are on the trail. There's blind corners, and it's just a safety thing. It's a courtesy thing. So good trail etiquette to do that. And they do that with snowmobiles as well. So here we're at the Rocks. The Rocks probably more for the larger vehicles like Jeeps and other off-road type vehicles that are larger with larger tires and lift kits, better suspensions. But there are some space spots around here that you can kind of play without being too hard on your ATV or side-by-side. Don't generally see a lot of side-by-sides in here though. So we're just gonna kind of play around on the rocks here a little bit, and then I'm gonna find my way over to a hard packed trail. Here I'm just going down the hill. I'm going to turn here, and Kyle is close behind me, and he's just going down as well. And that doesn't look like a very steep hill, but it is. It's something that I don't like to do too much, but I'm trying to regain my confidence, so I thought that was a good exercise for me. Now, we were a little worried about Jim coming down in here with his Pioneer and the weight that he has. You can kind of see that angle when I went up there. We didn't know if Jim was going to make it back up, but on hard packed grade like this, it had absolutely no problem getting up. Now, if that were sandy, he might have struggled. And Kyle, of course, doesn't have any trouble getting up there with his 850. So we played around on the rocks a little bit more here, and then we're going to head over to the sandy hill area. For me, the adventure of just getting to the sandy hills is a good one. There's hills to go up here. And another hill to go up here. So a little bit of an adventure just getting to the hills. And then a nice little ride through the woods. And then you end up there. It's not too long of a drive. We have arrived at the Sand Hills area. Beautiful place to be. Not very much traffic here at all. We haven't been here since last year, and it has eroded quite heavily. That's the problem when you've got a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of riding, that it does take a toll on the surroundings. These hills used to be a little steeper when we first saw them a few years ago, but they're still fun, and we don't really see a lot of people around here. Every time we've ever come here, there just hasn't been anybody in this area that is riding alongside of us, so you don't really have to worry too much about it if you just want to kind of play around here. So we spend quite a bit of time in this area, in the Sand Hills. This is one of the best elevation views in the St. Helen area, at least that I'm aware of so far. So you're on quite an elevation here, and you can see a pretty good distance. So a nice vista for a photo shot or what have you. So. Now, there are a few times, I think there was one time I tried climbing and I couldn't make it up one of these hills, and you just have to use your head, and just when you back up, don't turn your steering wheel, just let it go back. I think, Kyle did, he also had to do the same thing on one of the other hills, so, and Jim had to do it a few times. So it can be challenging in this area. We're going to leave the sandhills at this point and take a nice little ride for a while and eventually find ourselves at Beaver Lake. We seem to encounter this spot about every time we come to St. Helen. It's a wet area where we have water over the road. And I was surprised this wasn't deeper. Now, what you don't know, what you can't see under this water is you can't see if there's ruts. Now, my front left tire was kind of caught in a rut, and that's why I was taking so darn long to get across here. I thought the ruts would be on either side of me, on the right or the left, but my left tire got caught, and you can see how tilted my ATV is there. And it doesn't even get a little deeper than that. I think I almost get to the back tail light on the left-hand side there. So I'm just taking my time. I don't want to, there could be another rut to the left that's even deeper, and I just don't want to tip the quad over, and then I take water into the cylinders, and I'm stuck, So I'm just taking it easy, trying to counterbalance, just taking it real slow. And when you see Jim and Kyle go across, they go off to the right more, and here they go through that with ease. The first person has the advantage of not having dust and dirt flying in the eyes, but could be risk. There could be wires going across the road. When you have this type of situation, you just don't know. So I'm a little more conservative. I was traveling once on a path, and there was an actual wire across the road. It was not warranted at all. It was a private land crossing. It was not marked. It was on a sandy 2-track, if I remember right. It was it was over by Oscoda, around the Sabo River, and I slowed down just in time. It caught me right across my shoulders, and I wasn't going very fast. That was quite something. So I always do think about that, and I think about people that maybe don't like riders like what we're doing, and they just put something across the road that you can't see, whether it's fishing line or wire that's very thin. I know you got to think about that kind of stuff. Here we're at Beaver Lake. I'm pretty sure you could probably almost drive across this thing. I don't think it's a very deep lake at all. But we do go around the perimeter, but again, you can't see the bottom, so that's why I'm going slow. And then, of course, after I've gone through, it's very easy for others to go through at a little faster speeds. But I'm kind of sort of scouting and just seeing what's possible and where we can go here. This is the first time that I ever visited the Beaver Lake area. I was not aware that this was here. And I thought it was quite interesting. Now, in this case, Riley is driving the side-by-side, the Honda Pioneer, and he's a little more aggressive. To Jim's dismay, he's a little more aggressive, which it's fun to see. These guys have fun, so I enjoy watching them. I'll take a minute here to explain something here. I do have a quite an extra deep voice here on Thursday. What was it? Thursday the 12th of May. I was diagnosed with COVID again. This would be the second time. I was scheduled to continue the Shorter Shore Trail the next day, but I had to put that on hold. And that was with Fred, so we're just putting that on hold just for a little while until I get past this. I'm feeling a lot better. Thursday was my worst day, and things are steadily improving. It is now Saturday, and I'm feeling pretty good, except for my voice and a little bit of a sore throat and a cough. I'm feeling really good, so I'll be back. I'll be back at it here in no time again. So it looked like there was a high road trail here, and it looked like there was a trail on the bottom by the lake there again. We happened to take the high road here. And we just came back here and we took a break for 10 or 15 minutes, shut things down. I think, yeah, Riley does go across here. Yeah, right. And anyways, that was fun watching that. That happens here in a minute. Jim was a little worried here. He didn't know how deep that was going to be. So here we're leaving the Beaver Lake area and making our way to Sandpit and Bowl. Here they go in a counterclockwise direction. You just need to have an awareness of your presence and the presence of others. Drive very defensively here when there's lots of people around. I kind of just like to see what's up and how people drive and, you know, what they're doing. So I'm just going to park myself. Now, in hindsight, and I knew it at the time, I should not have parked here. This was not a good place to be. But I didn't know that this was happening right here. Because if this guy loses control, both Kyle and I would be history. So what we should have did is we should have gone maybe on the other side of this tree here to my right. And we wouldn't have quite had the same vantage point, but it would have been safer. But nothing happened to us, and we got some really good video. So, but this was probably the most sketchy time. I don't know how good a control they have, but you just don't know. So we stayed here quite a while, maybe 15, 20 minutes, and towards the end, we saw a couple of people driving in the wrong direction, and the folks there were not too happy that we're driving counterclockwise, and they made that known to them. Here we got a clear-cut area. Didn't see a lot of this in the St. Helen area. This is the first time we ran across this for this trip. But there's always seemingly some logging going on in the St. Helen area. They just have to be logging this area. And in this particular drive here, we're working our way south to the I-75 area, where there's kind of, I call them the I-75 hills. That's not any sort of formal name for them. Just what I call them. They're really not hills. I mean, there are some elevations there, but it's just kind of neat that you're able to drive along I-75 and see the highway, and you can ride in your on your ATV. I thought that was kind of nice. Jim and I spend a lot of time. We meet every Thursday over Zoom. We've done that now for the last decade at least. And it started out with doing some electronics and with Arduino and some other types of microprocessor boards that lend themselves to projects and controlling things. And Jim has really embraced that and has done a lot of work with that. But as you can see on his Pioneer, he's put together quite some interesting lighting and sound horns, some different types of audibles that come from the horn area. Here we have Sandy Flats, which I noted in my top 5 ATV video that I've never seen this space, but I have. I didn't realize it was this. It has been closed now for a number of years. There must have been a lot of erosion here that happened, and so they decided to close that down. So I just wanted to make note of that. So anyway, though Jim's goal with his Pioneer is to make that road legal. He has a windshield. He has the rooftop covering on it. I think he has to have wipers and turn signals, which he has all. He has the turn signals working. Here he's using a warning type light just for safety purposes. I think he has similar things on the front, being able to do some things. And he has all kinds of lighting if we needed to work on something at night. That's very cool. The amount of time and fabrication that he's done on this is just amazing. Maybe I can get him to do a video on that if I can have him tear things apart a little bit and show the work that he's done. I think he'd like to do that, or he might already have all that documented well enough that I know he has it documented enough that I could do the video on that. Here's a low area. There's a couple of spots here that are in a marshy area. On the left, there's a marsh. There's also one that's coming up on the road here, and it's little low spots, and they tend to be like this mostly throughout the year. And if there's higher water, you can plan to get stuck here, and you don't need to winch out. I guess we happened to catch it when it was a little bit lower and not so mucky. I don't remember ever getting stuck in this spot, but at the next hole, I remember we did get stuck. That tends to be a little deeper. That box that Jim has in the back of his Pioneer, I think that's a military box. It's totally waterproof, and it has a little pressure button or some sort of pressure button that he has to release in order to open the box, which I thought that was pretty neat. with that Pioneer, what happens on the top of the roll bars when we're on 50-inch trails, especially when there's turns, like 90-degree turns and banks, and there's trees on the opposite side, those upper parts of the roll bars tend to touch those trees on the opposite side, and they catch. And so he has some skidder type things on the sides of those bars so that it just slides off. And he needs to do a little bit of adjustment to them. But I think the concept is good there. But we've, on all the trails that we've been on over the years, we've really beat those upper roll bars up quite a bit. So here we're just going along the 50-inch trails, and we're going to find our way out of the St. Helen trail system, and we're heading back to the trailhead. I made it back to the trailhead, as did Kyle, and Jim and Riley went up to the gas station, since it's just at the end of this road at the light, and they gassed up their Pioneer so it'll be ready, because it's harder when they have their side-by-side in the enclosed trailer to fuel it up at a gas station, since it's not openly accessible. So the trail, the ride is 2.5 hours, 3 hours, something like that. We spent a lot of time playing around in the various areas. We didn't put a lot of miles on, around 17 miles. I like this place. It's a play area for us, and I've always enjoyed it. So I'm glad you could watch this with us. So thank you.
Well, that was a nice video, beautiful day, nice sunshiny day, and we enjoyed the heck out of that. We hit all the nice hot spots, and I'm glad that I could show that to you finally for the first time. So until next week, thank you and take care.